Hello, Beverly here. So today in this video, I'm talking about something that is really dear to my heart, and that is self-acceptance. And the reason it's dear to my heart is that I know from both my own personal experience and that of the thousands of hours of client work that I've done over the years, that building, maintaining, and strengthening self-acceptance is one of the pillars of psychological well-being. It's also not something that is one and done. It requires constant course correction. But I want us to have an honest conversation today, and I want to talk about the kind of this real struggle of stabilizing and maintaining self-acceptance, the raw, uncomfortable truth of what it means to fight that battle, to fight that I'm not good enough battle with yourself on a regular basis. I want to acknowledge the challenge of that internal voice that tells you, yeah, you're not enough. No matter the mask that you present to the world, we all have, sometimes it's louder than others, but this internal dialogue going on, which is challenging to say the least. So I'm going to talk specifically about changing your inner voice and changing your beliefs in other videos. In this one, I just really want to focus on getting some understanding of how lack of self-acceptance shows up. Let's start with the masks we wear. That curated image has faded. How does lack of self-acceptance show up? It shows up in so many ways. It can show up as anxiety. It shows up about a fear of rejection and a fear of what other people will think, fear of being judged negatively by others. We can find ourselves saying sorry for things that really aren't our fault. We can apologize for our very existence. It can show up in constantly needing to prove ourselves as really capable at work or academically. It can show up as people pleasing, which is the behavior to try and make sure that people think favorably of us. And it's exhausting. Hello, all perfectionists out there. It is underneath that drive that to make everything perfect, which may have served you well and you may have achieved a lot, but the push for perfectionism is generally because of a fear of not being good enough. Let's look at the price we pay when we've got a fractured relationship with ourselves, critical relationship with us. We can sabotage relationships because ultimately we don't believe we're worthy of love, or we fear we're going to get rejected anyway because people always leave us. So we sabotage them before that happens. We can keep ourselves small. We don't put ourselves forward for promotion because we're convinced we're not good enough. We can be very concerned about our outward appearance. We are overly critical on our body image and our body shape. And the truth is our worth is not determined by whatever it says on the scales or the dress size you wear, because we, you, me, all of us, were all born worthy. However, it's a challenge, and it is a challenge because we're fighting against years of internal messages about our worth. So sometimes that comes from things people said in childhood, maybe our parents, school, relationships, but we have got these internal messages about our self-worth, and we conclude that we are not worthy enough. Society profits from our insecurities. The diet industry is an industry that makes gazillions of money, and social media, again, the constant comparison trap. Our brain has a natural negativity bias, so we can doubt anyway. Generational patterns we've inherited, our mother, our grandparents, and certainly down the female lineage of it's inherited and inherent in our DNA and in the society that we've grown up in. I would have hoped it had changed, but it doesn't appear to be changing in that direction anytime soon. So we've got to be the change we've got to start validating ourselves. We've got to, not in a narcissistic way or an egotistical way, we've got to recognize the truth that we are worthy. So, where's the switch? Where does it start? It's not bubble baths and affirmations, they're pleasant and they can have a place. However, we've got to recognize where the struggle is for us before we can start to heal. So notice where you are rejecting yourself. Get curious about the pain underneath that. Allow yourself to feel these uncomfortable emotions. It is okay. It might feel uncomfortable, but if we allow ourselves to feel them, we can learn what are these emotions telling us. And then tune in to the story you tell yourself about yourself and hear the critical, negative, pessimistic often narrative that we have inside our minds. Start to recognize where these patterns come from, recognize where they're running the show, start to behave differently. So we all have a nervous system, and that is automatic, autonomic nervous system. And the nervous system is about survival. That's its job. It's only got one job, and it's about keeping us alive. That's why we as a species are still going strong, I think. So the nervous system, because it's about survival, will always, always, always default to the familiar. And the familiar narrative you've been telling yourself is, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I'm not funny enough, I'm not capable enough, or iterations of that. Then changing that story will initially feel uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. And what the nervous system will say, oh, that's unfamiliar. So it's encoded in the nervous system as unsafe. It's not true, but it's binary, the nervous system. Familiar, safe, unfamiliar or new, unsafe, dangerous, resist it. So it can feel really uncomfortable to start to change the story you tell yourself about yourself. And so we often give up. I urge you to persist, because it's only through changing the narrative and also acting in accordance and behaving as though you respect yourself, behaving as though you are someone who prioritizes yourself. Is only through taking those actions are you going to be able to really change the narrative and then change the results. I know this video might feel a bit heavier, but I really believe we need to acknowledge the struggle before we can start to heal. And your journey, my journey, our journey might not be Instagram worthy, but that's okay. It's fleeting. Yes. It might be messy, it might be uncomfortable and full of setbacks, but it's real. And that's what matters, because you matter. I really want to hear in the comments what you feel. For more support on this journey of self-acceptance, I have created a community, a Facebook community, a private Facebook community, which is all about self-acceptance. It's called the Circle of Self-Acceptance, and you are invited to join. It's free. All you need to do is answer 2 or 3 questions, so we know you're real. Then the doors are open to you. And in that, I'm there every single week with live talks, with worksheets. I do a lot of EFT in there, which really can help shift difficult, uncomfortable beliefs that you may have about yourself. And I also do meditations and visualizations. So please, if you know that you want to work on this and you know it will be beneficial, and I think, how can it not be? Then please click the invite below and join my Circle of Self-Acceptance. Okay. Go well.